Will Howard is the ultimate winner of the transfer portal for 2023 because, plain and simple, he's an experienced quarterback that's going to get paid a lot of sums in the NIL fund to be able to strap it up for one university next season. But where ultimately does he land? Miami? USC? According to recent reports, it probably is looking more so like Ohio State, who certainly is in need of upgrading at quarterback after a woeful performance in the Cotton Bowl. Let's talk about the fit. If you're new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, plus anything going on with coaching searches, the transfer portal, national championship news, guys, we have a Big Ten title game showing up a year early down at NRG Stadium. We'll be covering every aspect of it. So make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me what you would think of Will Howard running Ryan Day's offense in Columbus. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of pros, college football aficionados, and Ohio State fans everywhere about this channel, because we're on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. Go ahead and give me a follow on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. Okay, Will Howard. Proven quarterback, multiple years of starting experience, and has a shot to lead your team to a college football playoff berth. If I am a roster and a program that knows I am a quarterback away from being a contender, and I can turn a loss into a win simply by calling up the kid from Manhattan, Kansas, I'm going to do so. Because if I realize that in a brand new version of the college football playoff era where 12 teams are going to be represented for a shot at the national title, if my quarterback room isn't up to par, I have no shot. That's the bottom line, people. And when you look at Ohio State, I understand that there is a certain pedigree and a culture and a standard set internally in the locker room. When you commit to the Buckeyes, you are committing for 4 years of hopeful dominance and hopeful surging that leads you to a national title. The goals are never changing for the Buckeyes, ever. They could have a roster that was riddled by the transfer portal, and Ryan Day still will come out and say, our end goal is to win a national title. Because that's what's expected by boosters. That's what's expected by the fan base. That's what's expected by those who are writing the checks inside of that locker room. They expect not a Cotton Bowl appearance. They don't expect a Big Ten title. Those are things that they just hope come and are expected to at least be on the radar. They expect national title bouts every single season. And right now, I think we all can agree. We have no idea what you're getting at quarterback. We have no idea. I find it very hard to go ahead and find a fluent an opinion on either Devin Brown or Lincoln Kienholz after what we saw down in Arlington. Because plain and simple, we don't know what either one of these two can be. And I live by the standard of don't fall for bowl syndrome. Now, some of you might be asking, what does that mean? One performance in a bowl game where you don't know what's standing on the other sideline isn't enough for me to go ahead and determine what your future is going to be. And we've seen this time and time and time again, and we're going to continue to see this. Joe Milton, of all people, went off, went crazy. Super Saiyan went full Vegeta mode against Clemson in the Orange Bowl last year. Well, he's going to go to the NFL draft. Maybe things will pan out, but this was not the season that many Volunteer fans expected, and it was why there was a sound of rejoice when Nico Iamaleava decided to strap it up in the Citrus Bowl. We can't hinder our success based off of one quarterback's performance. But with that being said, you also now have questions when it comes to Devin Brown's durability. This is not the first time he has suffered a lower body injury during the season that's cost him a couple games. Remember the Penn State game? Didn't come back in. Missed several weeks. Re-agitates it against Michigan State during pre-drill warm-up. So he doesn't even get to play in that game. And Lincoln Kienholz, I don't think many people thought was going to play in this game unless it was a complete and total blowout. They believe that this was a kid who needed one more year to probably learn the system, fit the style of offense, and then, well, at least we can go ahead and see what you're made of, kid. That was the way I viewed this game. So I'm not going to put too much of an emphasis by saying neither Devin Brown or Lincoln Kienholz can't be the savior or solution in Columbus for the foreseeable future, just like CJ Stroud was, just like Dwayne Haskins was, just like you could say with Justin Fields. All of them ended up panning out, but one performance wasn't enough for us to go ahead and dictate what the standard was. But therein also is your problem. Standards won't change in Columbus. So you go 8-4 next year, that's a death sentence for Ryan Day. That is a complete and total roster overhaul for everyone inside that locker room. So to make sure that you don't ever get there, you finalize the quarterback position. What do we know about Will Howard? Number one, proven winner. Guy led Kansas State to their first Big 12 title since 2003 over an undefeated TCU team in overtime. He has the ability to pass. He's very sizable of what you're looking for. 6'4", good 220 pounds on him. Hard to bring down when he is an open field runner. Got good accuracy. Roughly 63.5% of his passes completed over the last 2 years. 45 touchdowns against 25 interceptions, if I'm not mistaken. Over 5,000 passing yards. And the guy's mobile. The guy can utilize his legs. And I'm not talking about red zone opportunities because, yes, he does score once inside the red zone, but number 18 can be a number one option when it's 3rd and 1 and you're looking for a gain of 20. He has that physicality. He reminds me a little bit of Josh Allen's play style, but nowhere near Josh Allen's arm strength. What you're looking at is a kid that isn't afraid to tuck it and run, bury someone else in front of him, fight for those hard yards, move the sticks, and keep the drive at an all-time high. What's been missing at Ohio State the last few years? What worked when Justin Fields was running the offense and you were able to dethrone Michigan? Because that's really what this all comes down to. It's not about finding ways to beat Wisconsin or Michigan State or a Minnesota team that's making a change at quarterback. We know that you can win those games, even when you have a B- performance. The Big Ten, you can have those type of games and walk away victorious. You can't against Michigan. But what was the main thing that worked when you were beating Michigan? Mobility at the quarterback position. Justin Fields didn't have to run for 200 yards and find the end zone on 5 different occasions. What he had to do was be able to give his wide receivers a second opportunity to get open downfield. When the pressure was coming off of the edge and you saw number 1 step up in the pocket, he would evade, work his way to the outside, give his receivers a second opportunity to break past the defensive back, to hit him in the numbers for 6 easy points. That's what worked for Ohio State. And that's what's been missing the last 2 years. Take nothing away from CJ Stroud. He balled out against Georgia in the Peach Bowl. He's balling out in the NFL right now. Absolutely going to be the number 1 pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Kyle McCord was fine. Wasn't great, wasn't elite, but he was fine. And the numbers back it up. 2 interceptions ultimately was the deal breaker in Ann Arbor this past year. But do those 2 interceptions happen if you don't have a statue standing behind your line of scrimmage? And I don't want to put too much of an emphasis on what we saw from the offensive line because I do think that they will be in good condition going into next season. But say the version that did take the field in Arlington is the same version that takes the field against Michigan next year, or maybe another bout team, maybe a Nebraska that's improving right now, maybe a roster that you think is probably good enough to get an upset, but not good enough to win a national title. If that offensive line is there, you can't have a statue at quarterback. You don't get that with Will Howard. What you get is that mobile ability to manipulate defensive linemen, take the bait up the middle, work your way out on a rollout, and find your receiver downfield. And don't sell me on the fact, well, there's no more Marvin Harrison Jr. there. There are studs on studs on studs on dudes every single offseason coming to Columbus, Ohio. Don't believe me? Jamison Williams was a top-tier prospect that had to transfer from Ohio State just to get playing time for people to understand his ability at the NFL level. That was the reason why he was not part of Ohio State's roster. And you're going to tell me right now that Carnell Tate can't come in and be an immediate plug-and-play contributor? If Emeka Ibuka comes back for 2024, you won't be excited to know that you have a durable third down receiver. You're adding in Jeremiah Smith. We all believe that he could be the next Marvin Harrison Jr. What happens if he just comes a little bit early than we expected? Instead of a sophomore surge, we get a freshman phenom. That's the version we get. So there are going to be talented pass catchers at Will Howard's disposal if you were to commit to Ohio State. And honestly, if you're willing to pay the $1.5 million or however much it's going to cost in NIL funds, you win a national championship, that money pays for itself. The bottom line is that Ohio State is not going to be okay with finishing 14th in the AP poll or the college football playoff poll. They're not going to be content finishing 7th in the AP poll or the college football playoff poll when the voting comes out and it's time to determine which 12 teams are going to have a shot at making it down to Atlanta come early January. They're going to expect the same results that we saw this year, but one thing changed. You win against Michigan. You're not winning against Michigan right now with what you have with Devin Brown. You're not winning with Lincoln Kienholz right now. You could win with Will Howard. Guy's proven. Guy has experience. Guy knows how to run an offense better than I know how to slice bread. We know that this is what Ohio State needs. Veteran stability at the most important position. And if they get a guy like Will Howard, they're in a really good spot going into 2024. Wide receivers, they're never going to stop dwindling away. Tight end play, it's always going to be an uptick battle. Offensive line, you always know that you're going to have a stability at left tackle and right tackle. Defense, as long as Jim Knowles is calling the shots, you're going to be in a great situation, just like you were against Missouri all the way up until the fourth quarter. But none of that matters in the game of college football if you don't have the right quarterback. Will Howard can be that right quarterback. The only question turns to, is Ryan Day willing to pay the price just for a shot at maybe making it to a national title? Because he needs to if he wants to stay employed in Columbus past 2024. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.